Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, hello, welcome. My name is Dana. I'm so happy you decided to stop by. In today's video, I thought I would share with you my favorite neutral palettes. Now, if you're new here, I will say I tend to lean towards the warm end of the neutral side, but there are, I think, like 2 or 3 cool tone options in here for you. So if you are a cool tone lover, don't worry, I didn't forget about you. I'm honestly learning myself to accept the cooler tone family. Howard, you gotta stop, dude. Sorry if you hear that in the background. That's my dog licking himself. I kind of have palettes from all across the board. We got some super affordable drugstore, then we have some higher end palettes. I didn't include things like the Naked palette or the Lorac Pro palette just because those have been around forever and I feel like we all already kind of know about those. Don't get me wrong, there's probably plenty of palettes in here you also already know about, but they're just, I hate to say relevant because it's not that those other palettes aren't relevant, but they've just been talked about plenty of times already. So let's just go ahead and give these palettes their moment to shine. Starting off with these little cuties, these are the e.l.f. Bite Size Eyeshadow Quads. I have Cream and Sugar. Truffles would be a great companion palette for you. Not only are these super small, but they really do pack a punch. The best part is they're only $3 a piece. There are some great fun quads too. I know there's one called, is it jalapeno, or was I just thinking jalapeno when I saw it because it's green? I think it is called something jalapeno that has amazing greens in it. Let's say you have a really fun, colorful palette, but you just need a few transition shades. Just pick up 2 of these and you're set. Ready to go. $3, really can't beat it. One drugstore palette that I don't have in my possession anymore that I'm really bummed about. I actually dropped it and it shattered. The Wet n Wild, it's either called Glamour Squad or Glam Squad. Those retail for around $4.99. That one kind of tries, I mean, it's a pretty close dupe when it comes to tones, obviously not exactly quality, but tones of the Anastasia Soft Glam palette. So if you've been looking at that one, but you didn't really want to bite the bullet on it yet because you weren't sure if you would really get that much use out of it, I would recommend picking up this one first and you love it, but you just want even better pigmentation and more shades, then go ahead and jump to the Soft Glam, which let's go ahead. That's a lovely transition to talk about this palette now. This is the Anastasia Soft Glam palette. As you can see, it is definitely a warm tone lover's dream. In this palette, you have your creamy mattes, your soft shimmers, but then your intense metallics. Let's say you were traveling, you took this palette and you forgot your eyeliner, you silly goose. No worries. Go in with a stiff angled brush, go ahead and get it a little bit wet if you want more of an intense black liner or wing, and go in with a black shade or obviously a dry brush if you want to keep it softer. It's just overall a great palette. It retails for $45. Right now on Sephora, there's actually a gift set that retails for $49 where you get this palette and then I think there's like a mini liquid lipstick and then a mini mascara. To be honest, I'm not really crazy about the ABH liquid lipsticks anymore, but I know a lot of people still love them. So I mean, paying $4 extra to get those little minis, if you were interested, seems like a decent deal. Okay, let's go ahead and jump back to drugstore. This is one of the Covergirl full spectrum eye palettes. These are kind of harder to find in store now, but I know it's still available on Amazon. I don't know if it's on Ulta. I'll go ahead and find all the links I can and leave them down below for you, but this is the one in Reverence. The mattes in this, so impressive, especially for drugstore. I mean, last couple of years, drugstore has really stepped up their game whenever it comes to eyeshadows anyways. The only shade that I'm not crazy about in here is this weird kind of, it's almost like a greeny gold. You see what I mean? There's like a little bit of this chartreuse type of vibe in here. They do feel powdery when you touch them, but powdery in the way that they're super, super creamy. I will say if you have a really, really dry skin, it's something that can kind of dust off eventually. It's not the longest wearing eyeshadow, but if you do prep it with any sort of eyeshadow primer, you're good to go. But the overall formula is really great, especially for the price point. We have the Persona Identity palette. She recently revamped the outer packaging. Before it was just, I don't think I brought it in here, the cardboard packaging with a cityscape. It was really cute, but now it's just in this clean sort of packaging. So this one looks completely untouched because I just didn't really want to dip into this one yet when I have the other palette. Not only do you have those really nice soft golds and bronze shades, you do have a few hints of a mauve and a plum, but I would still definitely call this a neutral palette. It's perfect just for every day. There's a brow bone shade. You do still have a darker brown in here. Both the metallics and the mattes perform great. This one retails for $42. I know just the other day this was on sale on the Ulta site, I think, for $24. So it is a product that goes on sale quite often. I just did a full tutorial of this palette. This is the Stone Cold Fox palette. When I first opened it, I was just like, oh, I don't know, because as I mentioned earlier, I just always tend to gravitate towards true warm tones. But this palette is nice just because you can create so many different different looks. Whether you're wanting to go in and create something soft, sweet, almost bridal-esque, you can concentrate on the outer columns. But then if you want to go in and do something sexy, sultry, like a classic cool tone smoky eye, then just gravitate towards the two middle columns. But as you can see, even right here, you do still have some of those more like warm neutral shades. Overall, it's a great palette. It really did take me by surprise because when I first opened it, like I said, I was just like, oh, I don't know, you're really cool toned, but everything worked out. Oh, did I mention that palette is $34, but Colourpop tends to do sales quite often. I know if you sign up for their newsletter, you either get 5 or 10, I think it's $5 off. We do have one other palette from Colourpop. This is the Go and Coconuts palette. It retails for $12. This is pretty popular, so it goes in and out of stock quite often. When I first opened this, I thought this is right up my alley. It's definitely warm toned, but it's really weird because a lot of these shades translate on the cooler end on the eyes. At first, I thought maybe my brushes are just dirty or it's something weird with my skin because it's translating way more like neutral on the eyes. But I've heard plenty of other people say that. If you are looking for a true neutral palette and you want mattes and shimmers, this one would be great. This is what I mean with like a companion palette. Since these shades are a little bit softer, I think, at least for me, I always like to have at least one deep dark shade. And Nutty is, I mean, it's not bad, but I like something with a little bit more depth. So this would be perfect to go in with e.l.f. Truffles. Have these two palettes and honestly, you're good to go whenever it comes to the neutral side of things. Moving on, these are palettes I never really hear anybody talk about, and I think they're so good. I believe these retail for $14. I had all of them at one point, but I did declutter quite a few of them. Not because they were bad, but just because I had so many products that were pretty similar and I thought somebody else could get good use out of them. So these are from the in-house Sephora brand, the Sephora collection. They are the I Love palettes. There's a gem tone one that kind of has very saturated primary shades, and then the ones I have here, we have light warm eyeshadow. So in here you get 3 mattes, 3 shimmers, and then a brow bone shade, which I absolutely love. It's so creamy. I know whenever you look at it, you're just like, oh, that looks kind of boring, but sometimes this is what people want, you know, just for an everyday, easy, neutral look. You don't want things to be complicated. If you just want to open something and be like, okay, I want to create an easy eye look just like that, these are perfect. Here is the medium cool palette. I actually prefer the matte shades in this one more. Actually, I think I prefer this palette more than the light warm, but I love the brow bone shade, or what I use for the brow bone shade in the light warm palette. I realize the packaging and everything is just kind of dull, if we're being honest, but the quality is there. They're blendable, they're pigmented, they're just all around good shadows. All right, I just have 2 more palettes. This is a palette that I hear mixed reviews about. It's very 50-50. It's a palette I personally love. This is hands down my favorite palette from Too Faced. It's their Born This Way, the Natural Nudes. I've heard some people say that these shadows are dry, and it almost makes me wonder if they got a bad palette or not, because I don't see any dryness or weird inconsistencies with this palette. The metallics are amazing, but I definitely prefer to apply them with my finger. Whenever it comes to a metallic lid shade, no matter what the brand, I typically do always use my finger. I know not everyone does that, but if you have this palette and you thought the same thing and you were using a brush, try the metallics with your finger. The warmth of your finger just makes it glide right on. I think they're so beautiful. I love the mattes in here. It's just a great palette. And then the very final palette is actually the newest. If you've been watching my last few videos, I know I sound like a broken record, but y'all, I was so late to the whole Nabla bandwagon, and I don't know why, because it is freaking amazing. My favorite palette from them is the Dreamy 2 palette. This is their most recent launch. This is the Side by Side Nude palette. So in here you have 16 shades just to create any sort of look, and they are so beautiful. Better Society is probably my favorite shade in here. It's just this amazing multi-dimensional mauve-y, plummy, pinky, taupey type of color. It's so beautiful. If you're like me and you haven't tried any Nabla cosmetics yet, you must. I'm telling you, their shadows, their, what are those called again? Skin glazes, their lip glosses. I just freaking adore their products, and this is one that I wanted to mention because it's real nice. And there you have it. There are some of my recommendations for just everyday neutral palettes. I would love to hear some of your picks down below, especially if it's from a brand that I haven't mentioned before. I'm always game to try new things. But I hope you guys are having a good one. As always, thank you so much for spending part of your day with me. If you haven't already, I would love if you subscribed. If you liked this video, don't forget to hit that notification bell. That way you don't miss out on any future content. I hope you have a good day, and I will see you next time. Bye.